They disowned me. I bought the ceiling above their heads instead. My name is Vivian, and I'm the daughter who finally stopped playing by their rules. 3 months ago, I sat in my parents' living room, listening to them explain how they'd burned through their retirement savings, funding my sister's entrepreneurial dreams. The same sister who'd just posted photos from the Maldives while they begged me to move back home. "Vivienne, we're your parents," Mum's voice cracked with practiced precision. "After everything we've done for you, everything you've done for me." I couldn't help but laugh. Like making me work 2 jobs through college while paying Mia's full tuition? Dad slammed his hand on the coffee table. The same table where my academic awards used to sit before they were replaced by Mia's modelling headshots. "You ungrateful. I warned you both. 5 years ago, I begged you to stop enabling her." My voice remained steady, even as my hands shook. "I offered to help you set up a retirement plan." "Oh, you'd love that, wouldn't you?" Mum's tears dried instantly. "Controlling our money, like you try to control everything else. We raised you better than this cold Western mentality." I pulled out my phone, scrolling through Mia's Instagram. "Let's see. Dubai last month, designer shopping sprees, that fancy car lease. Tell me again how you can't afford a caregiver." "Your sister is building her brand." Mum's defense was automatic. "She's an influencer now. These are business expenses." "And you want me to give up my career, the one I built alone, to move in and take care of you?" I stood up, smoothing my skirt. "No." The silence that followed was deafening. Dad's face turned that dangerous shade of purple I remembered from childhood. "Then you are no daughter of mine." His words cut through the air like a knife. "Get out." Mum didn't even look at me. She was already texting Mia, probably warning her that the bank of Mum and Dad might be closing soon. I walked to the door, pausing only briefly. "Remember this moment," I said quietly, "when you chose her again." I drove home in a daze, muscle memory guiding me through familiar streets. My phone buzzed continuously, flying monkeys already deployed to guilt me back into line. I blocked them all. Walking into my apartment, I found an envelope waiting. Legal-looking, heavy paper, my grandmother's law firm's logo in the corner. I hadn't thought about Gran's estate in years. She'd passed when I was in college, leaving everything to my parents. Or so they'd told me. My hands trembled as I read the letter. Then read it again. "Dear Miss Carter, per the instructions in your grandmother's private trust, upon reaching the age of 33, you are hereby notified of your inheritance." The number made me sit down hard. $600,000. In a trust my parents couldn't touch, couldn't even know about. My phone buzzed again. A group text from Mum. A photo of Mia in Paris, posing in front of the Eiffel Tower. "So proud of our baby girl living her dreams." I looked at the trust letter, then back at the photo. Something shifted inside me. That last thread of hope that they'd ever see me snapping clean. The next morning, I called a real estate agent. "I'd like to look at investment properties," I said, my voice stronger than I'd felt in years. "Specifically, apartment buildings in the Cedar Heights area." "Oh, funny timing," she replied. "The Parkview complex just went into bankruptcy. Gorgeous pre-war building, great location. The current owner needs to sell fast." I smiled, thinking of apartment 4B where my parents had lived for 20 years. "Tell me more." My friend Lily called while I was reviewing the listing photos. "Your mum's friend just called me, trying to get me to talk sense into you." "Are you okay?" "I'm better than okay," I said, clicking through pictures of the familiar lobby. "I'm finally playing their game." "What do you mean?" I forwarded her the property listing. "They wanted control. I'm about to buy it." "Holy shit, Viv." She paused. "Are you sure about this?" I looked at my phone. Another group text from Mom. More Paris photos. Always Mia, always the good daughter. They disowned me, Lily. I closed my laptop, decision made. Time to show them what that really means. The next morning, I walked into Marshall Fisher's office, the best property investor in the city. He looked up from my proposal, eyebrows raised. "This is interesting," he said carefully. "You want to buy through an LLC, completely anonymous?" "Exactly." I met his gaze steadily. "Can you help?" He studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "I can. But, Vivian, you do know who lives there?" I smiled. "I know exactly who lives there. That's the point." Marshall's office became my second home over the next few weeks. Property reports and financial documents covered every surface as we planned the takeover. "The current owner's desperate," Marshall said, sliding another contract across his desk. "But we need to move fast and quiet." I nodded, scanning the papers. "How long until we can close?" 2 weeks, maybe 3. He leaned back, studying me. "You know, most people don't buy entire buildings just to prove a point. This isn't about proving a point." I signed the preliminary paperwork. "It's about consequences." A notification lit up my phone. Another group text from Mom. Mia posing outside some fancy boutique, shopping bags everywhere. The caption read, "Our angel living her best life." Marshall caught my expression. "Family?" "Something like that." I turned my phone face down. Let's talk about the dummy corporation. Later that night, lying awake, memories flooded back unbidden. Me at 12, winning the state math competition. Mum and Dad skipping the ceremony because Mia had a dance recital. My college acceptance letter to Stanford met with, "But how will we afford Mia's modelling classes?" My phone rang. Lily. "Your mum cornered me at the grocery store," she said without preamble. "Crying about how you've abandoned them." I laughed bitterly. "Did she mention the 3 luxury handbags she just bought Mia?" "Actually, yes. She said Mia needs them for her personal brand development." Lily's eye roll was audible. "Are you really going through with this building purchase?" "Already in motion." I got up, pacing my apartment. "Marshall's handling the details." "Marshall, huh?" Her tone shifted. "The cute property investor. Marshall?" "Focus, Lily." "I am focused on the fact that he keeps finding reasons for extra meetings." A knock at my door interrupted us. I opened it to find Marshall himself, holding a stack of papers. "Sorry to drop by," he said, looking surprisingly nervous. "But I found something you need to see." I let him in, saying goodbye to Lily, who texted immediately, "Get it, girl." Marshall spread the papers on my kitchen counter. "I was doing due diligence on the building's history. Found these old ownership records." He pointed to a familiar name. "Your grandmother owned shares in it back in the 90s. My hand shook as I read. She knew. All this time, she knew exactly where they'd end up. "There's more." He pulled out an envelope, yellowed with age. These were in the building's old files. Letters, dozens of them. My grandmother's handwriting, arguing with my mother about the trust she'd set up for me. Mum trying to contest it, to get access to the money. Gran refusing. "She protected me," I whispered, "even after she was gone." Marshall touched my shoulder gently. "You okay?" I straightened up, wiping my eyes. "I'm perfect. When can we close?" The next morning, I met with Andre, the property manager Marshall recommended. "The building needs work," Andre said, reviewing his notes. "But the tenants are mostly long-term, stable." "Good." I kept my voice neutral. "For now, just observe. Don't make any changes yet." "And the owners in 4B? He checked his list. "They've been complaining about rent increases." "Handle them like anyone else." I signed his contract. No special treatment. My phone buzzed, a text from Mum to our family group. Having tea with Mrs. Warner from 4C. She agrees you're breaking our hearts, Vivian. When will you stop this cruelty? I showed Andre out, then called Marshall. I need you to fast-track everything, I said without greeting. Whatever it takes. Already on it, papers shuffled in the background. But, Vivian, are you sure this is what you want? They're still trying to control me, I said quietly. Still trying to make me the villain in their story. And buying their building helps how? Because for once, they won't be the ones holding all the cards. I walked to my window, watching the city lights. They wanted to write me out of their lives? Fine. But I'm going to be the one deciding how this story ends. Okay, he paused. Want to get dinner tomorrow? To discuss the contracts, of course. I almost said no, almost fell back on my usual walls. But something in his voice made me hesitate. Just contracts? I asked. Well, he said slowly, maybe we could talk about other things too. Like, why you never let anyone see behind that armour you wear. My phone buzzed again. Another photo from Mum. Mia in a designer dress, captioned, "Our real daughter." Dinner sounds good, I said, deleting the message. I think it's time I started writing some new chapters. Marshall's smile was audible. I know a great place. And Vivian, I see you, armour and all. For the first time in weeks, I felt something crack in my chest. Not in pain, but in possibility. The keys to Parkview Complex felt heavy in my hand. My building now, officially, legally, irrevocably mine. Andre met me in the lobby, clipboard ready. First inspection as owner, he said, professional as ever. Where would you like to start? Top floor down. I kept my voice steady. Every unit. We worked our way through the building methodically. Water damage in 6A, electrical issues in 5C, a code violation in 4C, Mrs. Warner's unit. She's been here 20 years, Andre said, noting the exposed wiring. Friends with the tenant in 4B. My mother, I said quietly. His head snapped up. Yes, Andre, I know exactly who lives here. He cleared his throat. That explains a lot. Should I handle them differently? No. Send violation notices to everyone equally. I touched the peeling wallpaper, including 4B. Later that afternoon, Lily arrived at my apartment with wine and judgment. You're really doing this, she said, pouring generous glasses, going full supervillain on your own parents. They're evicting themselves, I corrected. Every choice they made led to this. My phone rang, Mrs. Warner's name flashing on screen. I answered on speaker. Vivian, dear? Her voice trembled. I just got an eviction notice. There must be some mistake. No mistake, Mrs. Warner. The violations in your unit are serious. But I've known your mother for years. We're practically family. Family, I cut her off. Like how you helped spread rumours about me being heartless, cold, ungrateful. Silence. The notice stands, I said firmly. You have 30 days. Lily whistled as I hung up. Damn girl. She chose her side. I sipped my wine. They all did. My phone buzzed with texts. Mom's friends, distant relatives, all suddenly concerned about my mental state. I blocked them one by one. Marshall called while I was cooking dinner. Your mother's friend came to my office, he said without preamble, trying to find out who bought the building. Mrs. Warner works fast. I stirred my pasta sauce. What did you tell her? That ownership information is private. He paused. But, Vivian? She mentioned something about your teenage years. About hospitals? The spoon clattered into the pot. I have to go. Wait. I hung up, hands shaking. Old memories surfaced. Being 16, finding those papers in Mum's desk. Referrals to psychiatrists. Words like unstable and institutional care jumping off the page. The doorbell rang. Marshall stood there, concern etched on his face. "You can't just drop a bomb like that and hang up," he said, stepping inside. "It's nothing." I turned back to my cooking. "Ancient history. Doesn't look like nothing." He caught my trembling hands. "Talk to me." "They tried to have me committed," I said flatly, "when I was 16. Because I wouldn't play their games, wouldn't worship Mia like they wanted. Jesus. Mom found a doctor who diagnosed me as unstable. Dad agreed it was for my own good." I pulled away. "But I found the paperwork first, got myself emancipated instead." "And now you own their home?" He shook his head. "Karma's a bitch." "No," I smiled grimly. "I'm the bitch. Karma just helped." My phone lit up. A text from Andre. "Mrs. Warner is telling other tenants about your connection to 4B. Should I intervene?" "Let them talk," I texted back. "It's time everyone knew who's really in charge." Marshall read over my shoulder. "You know this changes everything. They'll all know it's you now." "Good." I forwarded Andre the maintenance reports. "Send notices to every unit that fails inspection. No exceptions." "Including your parents?" "Especially my parents." I met his eyes. "Still want to have dinner with the building's evil overlord?" He stepped closer, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. I prefer to think of it as dating a woman who finally stops letting people walk all over her. My phone buzzed again. Mum in the group chat. "Having emergency building meeting with neighbours. We'll find out who's behind these cruel evictions. No one hurts our community." I showed Marshall the message. "Want to come to a building meeting?" "Wouldn't miss it." He grinned. "Should I bring popcorn?" "Bring legal documents instead." I grabbed my keys. It's time for the new landlord to make an appearance. Walking into that meeting would change everything. But as Marshall's hand found mine, I realised something. I wasn't that scared 16-year-old anymore. I wasn't even that hurt 33-year-old from 3 months ago. I was the owner, the decision maker, the one in control. And it was time for my parents to learn what that really meant. 3 months passed like a slow-motion revenge film. Every week brought new notices, new complaints, new reasons for my parents to panic. I watched it all through Andre's reports and the building's security cameras. "Rent's going up again," Andre informed me during our weekly meeting. "Legal maximum as requested." I nodded, scrolling through Mia's latest Instagram posts. Designer shoes, first-class flights, a new sports car lease. "Any complaints?" I asked, already knowing the answer. The tenant in 4B called 6 times yesterday." He shuffled his papers. "Says they can't afford another increase on their pension." "Show me their payment history." Andre pulled up the records. Always on time, but barely. Last 3 months were right at the deadline. My phone lit up, Lily calling. "Your mum cornered me at the coffee shop," she said when I answered. "Full waterworks, begging me to talk to you about the building situation." "What did you tell her?" "That Karma's a patient teacher." Lily paused. "But, Viv, she looks rough. Your dad too." "Funny how money problems age people," I said, thinking of all the times they dismissed my financial advice. "Maybe they should ask Mia for help." As if on cue, Mia's latest post popped up. "A yacht party in Miami?" Caption, "Living my best life while toxic people stay mad." "Speaking of your sister," Lily continued, "she's been asking around about you. Like, professionally asking." I sat up straighter. "What do you mean?" "Someone from her circle contacted the firm I work for, asking about your clients, your stability." "She's building a case," I realised, "trying to prove I'm unstable like Mum always claimed." Marshall walked into my office just then, catching my expression. He took the phone, putting it on speaker. "Lily, what exactly did they ask?" "Whether Vivian had ever shown erratic behaviour, if she'd ever been institutionalized. Lily's voice hardened. I told them to get fucked, obviously. Good, Marshall said, because we're about to hit back harder. After hanging up, he spread a folder across my desk. Remember those old records we found? There's more. I scanned the documents. Medical evaluations from my teenage years, all recommending against institutionalization. Notes from school counselors praising my stability. And there, in black and white, my mother's repeated attempts to have me committed anyway. This is gold, I breathed. Legal gold. Already had it authenticated. Marshall squeezed my shoulder. They can't touch you now. My office phone buzzed. Andre again. Mrs. Carter is in the lobby, demanding to see the owner. Says it's an emergency. I checked the security feed. Mum stood there in her expensive coat, the one she'd bought instead of paying their property taxes last year, clutching her designer purse like a shield. Tell her the owner's in a meeting, I said, watching her face fall. But she's welcome to submit her concerns in writing. You're evil, Marshall chuckled. I like it. I learned from the best. I turned off the feed. Want to get lunch? His smile softened. Actually, I was thinking dinner. My place this time? Before I could answer, my phone exploded with notifications. Mum had posted in the building's community Facebook group, "To our mysterious new owner, you're destroying lives. My husband and I have lived here 20 years. We're good people. Our younger daughter is a successful businesswoman who can vouch for us. Please, show mercy." The comments poured in. Building residents sharing their own notices, complaints about repairs. And there, in the middle, Mrs. Warner. The owner is Catherine's older daughter, the cruel one who abandoned them. I showed Marshall the thread. Looks like dinner might have to wait. Or, he said carefully, we could ignore it. Go somewhere they can't reach you. Just for one night. I almost agreed. Almost let myself lean into the warmth in his voice. Then, I saw Mum's next post. Our elder daughter is deeply troubled, has been since childhood. We tried to get her help, but she refused treatment. Please, pray for her soul. Actually, I said, reaching for my phone, I think it's time for the owner to make an official statement. I typed quickly, logged into the building's official account. Dear Parkview residents, all recent changes comply with local housing laws. Any personal conflicts between tenants and ownership are irrelevant to building operations. Those struggling to meet new terms should explore alternative housing options. Regards, management. Cold, Marshall whistled, but effective. They wanted a villain, I said, watching the chaos unfold in the comments. So I'm giving them one. My phone rang. Dad's number. For the first time in months, I answered. We know it's you, he said, voice shaking with rage. We'll fight this. Good luck, I replied calmly. I learned from the best how to destroy someone legally. I hung up as Marshall pulled me close. You okay? Better than okay. I showed him Mia's latest post, her selling her designer bags online. I'm just getting started. Dinner can wait, he agreed. This is much more entertaining. The click of expensive heels announced Mia's arrival before I saw her. I kept typing, not looking up as she barged into my office. Cute place, she sneered, dropping into the chair across from my desk. Very middle management. Unlike your borrowed Louboutins. I finally met her eyes. The ones you're selling online? Her smirk faltered. You've been stalking me. Don't need to. You post everything. I turned my screen, showing her Instagram. Like this yacht party, tagged living my best life while our parents can barely make rent. That's why I'm here. She leaned forward. This little revenge fantasy of yours? It ends now. I raised an eyebrow. Or what? Or I tell everyone about your mental issues. She pulled out her phone. I have proof. You mean Mum's failed attempts to have me committed? I opened my drawer, sliding out the authenticated records. These attempts? Her face paled as she scanned the documents. These could be fake. They're not. But please try proving that in court. I smiled. I'd love to subpoena Mum's old psychiatrist. You bitch. She stood up, hands shaking. You really want to destroy our parents? They destroyed themselves. I kept my voice level. You helped. I'll call CPS, she blurted. Claim they abused you as a kid. The building will be liable. Sit down, Mia. When she didn't move, I pressed a button on my desk phone. Security. She sat. First, I continued, I've recorded this entire conversation. Threatening false CPS reports is illegal. I held up my phone. Second, you're broke. I am not. Your credit cards are maxed. Your car's being repossessed. That's why you're selling everything. I pulled up her financial records. Amazing what money can uncover. How did you? The same way I found out about your failed businesses. The loans Mum and Dad took out to cover your debts. I leaned back. The second mortgage they can't afford. Tears welled in her eyes. Real ones this time, not the practiced ones she'd used all our lives. What do you want? She whispered. Nothing. I stood up. That's the point, Mia. I don't want anything from any of you anymore. They'll lose everything. Like I lost everything, my college fund, my childhood. I walked to the door. Actions have consequences. We're family, she shouted as I opened the door. No, I said quietly, we're not. Not anymore. Security arrived to escort her out. Through my office window, I watched her storm to her car, the leased Mercedes that would be gone by next week. Marshall found me still standing there an hour later. Andre called, he said, wrapping his arms around me from behind. Said your sister made quite a scene in the lobby. She threatened to report our parents for abuse. I leaned back against him. To get the building investigated. Bold move for someone facing bankruptcy. She doesn't know that part yet. I turned to face him. But she will when the banks start calling. My phone buzzed. A text from Lily. Your mum's outside my office. Says she needs to talk about disturbing developments with you. Mia works fast, I muttered. Want me to handle it? Marshall offered. No. I grabbed my coat. Time to face the music. Mum stood in Lily's office lobby, clutching a familiar manila envelope. My old medical records. These are lies, she said before I could speak. You manipulated those doctors. I was 16, I reminded her. You were the one with the power, the influence, the determination to prove I was crazy. We were trying to help. You were trying to control me. I stepped closer, because I saw through you, saw how you pitted us against each other, how you used money to keep us in line. That's not... Remember my college fund? I cut her off. The one that disappeared when Mia needed bail money? Or my graduation money that paid for her first failed business? Your sister needed... I needed parents. My voice cracked. I needed someone to see me, to choose me, just once. She reached for me. I stepped back. Don't. I straightened my spine. You made your choice, over and over again. Now you get to live with it. What are you going to do? She whispered. Nothing. I smiled sadly. That's your worst nightmare, isn't it? That I don't need you anymore. That I don't need anything from you. I walked away as she called after me, her voice echoing in the lobby. Outside, Marshall waited by his car. Home? He asked softly. I looked back at the building, at my mother's silhouette in the window, at the life I was finally, completely walking away from. Home, I agreed, taking his hand. Somewhere they can't reach. The non-renewal notices went out on a Tuesday. Andre hand-delivered them, recording each interaction on his body camera. I watched the footage that evening at Marshall's place, curled up on his couch. Your father took it surprisingly well, Andre reported via speakerphone. Just nodded and closed the door. Your mother, though. On screen, Mum collapsed against the doorframe, wailing. Please, we'll be homeless. We're too old to start over. Should I have mentioned you're selling the building? Andre asked. No. I muted the footage. Let them sweat. Marshall brought over 2 glasses of wine. Speaking of selling, we have 3 offers already. Take the highest. I checked my phone. 17 missed calls from Mum, 12 from various relatives. Time to end this. You sure? Once it's sold. I'm sure. I showed him Mia's latest Instagram post. Her designer bags listed for sale. Caption reading, Fresh start. DM for prices. She's really selling everything, he mused. Has to. Bank's freezing her accounts next week. I sipped my wine. Funny how karma works. My phone rang. Dad's number. For the first time in months, I answered on speaker. You've gone too far, he growled. Oh, we're hiring a lawyer. Good. I kept my voice calm. Have them contact the building's owner directly. We will. We'll find out who bought this place. No need. I cut him off. Andre will deliver my business card tomorrow. Owner's name right there in black and white. Silence. Then, what? Check your mail in the morning, Dad. I hung up as Marshall whistled low. That's cold, he said admiringly. Brilliant, but cold. I learned from the best. I stood up, restless. Want to watch the security feed tomorrow when they get it? He pulled me back down. Better idea. Let's be there in person. The next morning, we waited in the lobby as Andre made his rounds. Through the security monitor, we watched him approach 4B. Mum answered, still in her robe. Andre handed her my card. The camera caught her expression perfectly. Shock, denial, horror. She stumbled backward, calling for Dad. Ms. Carter? Andre's voice crackled through the radio. They're asking to see you. I straightened my suit, squeezed Marshall's hand and walked to the elevator. 6 floors up, I found them waiting in the hallway. Mum had collapsed into a chair someone had left there. Dad stood rigid, my business card crumpled in his fist. Surprised? I asked quietly. How? Dad's voice shook. How could you afford... Grand's trust. I smiled as recognition hit them. The one Mum tried to contest, remember? Mum's head snapped up. That was private. Nothing's private anymore. I pulled out my phone, showing them Mia's latest post, now desperately selling her car. Karma's funny that way. You'll destroy us, Mum whispered. No. I stepped closer. You destroyed yourselves. Every choice, every manipulation, every time you chose Mia over me, it all led here. We can fight this, Dad started. With what money? I cut him off. The money you spent on Mia's failed businesses, her cars, her influencer lifestyle? My phone buzzed. A text from Mia. They're foreclosing on my condo. Please help. I showed them the message. Your golden child needs another bailout. But wait, you can't even pay your own rent anymore. We're your parents, Mum tried one last time. No. I met her eyes steadily. You're just tenants who need to find new housing. Dad lunged forward suddenly. Marshall appeared from around the corner, stepping between us. I wouldn't, he said quietly. The security cameras catch everything. You brought your boyfriend to watch? Mum sneered through her tears. I brought a witness. I nodded to Andre, who'd been filming everything. For when you try to twist this story later. The building's being sold, I continued. You have 30 days. I suggest you start packing. Where will we go? Mum's voice cracked. Maybe ask Mia? I turned to leave. I hear she's downsizing. Marshall and I walked away, as Mum's sobs echoed through the hallway. In the elevator, he pulled me close. You okay? Better than okay. I showed him another text from Mia. They're taking everything. Please call me. Delete, I said, blocking her number. Their chapter in my life is over. And our chapter, he asked softly. I looked up at him, this man who'd watched me burn bridges and supported me anyway. That one's just beginning. I reached up to kiss him as the elevator doors opened. And it's going to be so much better. Behind us, I could still hear Mum crying. But for the first time in my life, the sound didn't touch me at all. Eviction day dawned cold and grey. I stood in the lobby, watching the moving trucks line up outside. Andre checked units off his list as tenants filed out. 5A clear, 4C empty. He paused. 4B is taking their time. Of course they are. I checked my watch. Give them 1 more hour. Lily arrived with coffee and concern. You sure you want to be here for this? I need to see it. I took a sip. Need to know it's real. The elevator dinged. Mrs. Warner emerged carrying her last box. She froze when she saw me. You. Her voice trembled. You did this to all of us. No. I met her gaze. You did this when you chose sides, when you spread their lies. They loved you. They loved controlling me. I stepped aside. Your taxi's waiting. She hurried past, muttering about karma. I smiled, thinking of her social media posts about my mental instability. Speaking of karma, Lily nodded toward the security feed. Look who's here. Mia stormed through the front doors, designer sunglasses hiding what I assumed were tears. Her once perfect hair was messy, her clothes no longer carrying designer labels. Here to help them move? I asked as she approached. They're living in my apartment now. She ripped off her sunglasses. What's left of it, anyway? Happy? Ecstatic. I checked Andre's list. They've got 20 minutes before the sheriff arrives. You heartless. Save it. I cut her off. Your credit's ruined, your accounts are frozen, and your influencer career is over. Maybe try getting a real job? She slapped me. The sound echoed through the lobby. Marshall appeared from nowhere, stepping between us. Security will escort you out now. This isn't over, she spat as the guards approached. Actually, it is. I touched my stinging cheek. Completely over. The elevator dinged again. Mum emerged first, clutching her precious photo albums. Dad followed with their last suitcase. They'd been moving things out slowly all month, but this was it, the final exodus. Vivian, Mum's voice cracked. Please. The truck's waiting. I nodded toward the door. Your new landlord wants you out by noon. I tried to get you help, she whispered. I didn't want to lose you to this coldness. You mean when you tried to have me committed? I stepped closer. For being too independent, too strong. You were always so hard, Dad interjected. So unwilling to play your part. My part? I laughed. You mean being Mia's shadow? The family ATM? We're your parents. Mum collapsed into a nearby chair. Everything we did was for your own good. No. I pulled out my phone, showing them Mia's latest post, complaining about having to share her studio apartment. Everything you did was for her, and now you get to live with those choices. You've won, Dad said quietly. You've taken everything. Not everything. I met his eyes. Just the ceiling above your heads. Like you took my security, my trust, my childhood. Security appeared at my signal. Time to go. Mum stood shakily. You'll regret this. Someday, when you need family, I have family. I glanced at Marshall, at Lily. Real family. People who see me, not what they can take from me. They shuffled toward the door, broken and small. Not the titans who dominated my life for so long. Just tired, foolish people who'd bet everything on the wrong daughter. Wait, I called after them. Mum turned, hope flashing across her face. I held out an envelope. Your final notice. The building's been sold. To who? Dad asked. Does it matter? I smiled. You still can't afford it. They left without another word. Through the glass doors, I watched them climb into Mia's beat-up Honda, the only car she had left. Such a far cry from their dreams of retiring in luxury while I paid their bills. Marshall wrapped his arms around me from behind. You did it. We did it. I leaned back against him. Ready to see your new building? He'd been the highest bidder after all. Another secret I'd kept from them. Actually, he said, turning me to face him, I was thinking about the coast, that weekend trip we never took. Now? Right now? He kissed me softly. Let's leave the past where it belongs. I looked around the lobby one last time, at the ghosts of all my childhood pain, at the empty chair where Mum had begged, at the spot where Mia had slapped me. The past is done, I agreed. Let's write something new. We walked out hand in hand, leaving Andre to finish the paperwork. Behind us, the moving trucks pulled away, carrying the last pieces of my old life with them. I didn't look back. I didn't need to anymore. The coastal house felt like freedom. Standing on the deck, watching waves crash against rocks below, I finally understood what peace meant. Marshall appeared with 2 coffee mugs, settling into the chair beside me. Lily called, he said, handing me a mug. Your mother's been asking around about your new address. Let her ask. I breathed in the salt air. She won't find it. My phone buzzed. A news alert about a local influencer's spectacular downfall. Mia's face filled the screen, her tearful interview about losing everything going viral. She's monetizing her failure, Marshall noted. Clever. Not clever enough? I showed him the comments section, filled with people who'd discovered her role in her parents' financial ruin. The internet never forgets. The real estate agent's car pulled into our driveway right on schedule. Time to make this coastal escape permanent. Ready to make an offer? Marshall squeezed my hand. More than ready. I stood as the agent approached. Time to build something new. Later that evening, after signing the preliminary paperwork, I checked my email one last time. A message from Andre caught my eye. Final inspection complete. Thought you should see this. Found in 4B behind a loose panel. Attached was a photo of an old envelope, my name written in familiar handwriting. My grandmother's. Where did you find this? I called Andre immediately. Master bedroom, hidden in the wall. Must have been there for years. I drove to the building one last time, Marshall insisting on coming along. The envelope felt heavy in my hands as we stood in the empty apartment. Open it, he urged softly. Inside was a letter and a torn photograph. Me, at 16, smiling despite everything. The letter was dated just before Gran died. My dearest Vivienne, if you're reading this, you've finally taken control. I've watched them dim your light for years, always betting on the wrong daughter. But you, my brilliant girl, you were always the strong one. I couldn't stop them then, but I could plan for now. The trust, the building, all pieces of a puzzle I knew you'd solve when ready. Your mother never understood real strength. She mistook your independence for defiance, your clarity for coldness. Don't let them write your story, dear one. Write your own. All my love, Gran, P.S. Check the safe behind the kitchen tiles. The combination is your birthday. Marshall helped me pry open the loose tiles, revealing a small safe. Inside lay another envelope, stock certificates, bearer bonds, and a final note. For when you're ready to build your own empire, show them what real success looks like. My phone rang, Mia's number, but Mum's voice when I answered. We saw the interview, she said quietly, about how you destroyed the family. No, you destroyed the family. I touched Gran's letter. I just stopped letting you destroy me too. Your grandmother would be ashamed. Actually, I cut her off. I'm holding a letter from her right now. Want to know what real family support looks like? Silence. Goodbye, Mum. I hung up, blocking the number permanently. Marshall examined the certificates. These are worth enough to start over, I smiled. Somewhere they can't reach. The Coast House? Better. I showed him a listing on my phone. A development opportunity. Prime real estate. Time to build something of my own. He pulled me close. I love watching you come alive like this. That's what they never understood. I tucked Gran's letter safely away. I was always alive, just waiting for the right moment to shine. My phone buzzed one last time. Lily sending a link to Mia's latest post. Family is everything. Missing my sister despite everything. I deleted it without responding. Some stories didn't need an ending, they just needed to stop. Ready to go home? Marshall asked. I looked around the empty apartment one last time, at the walls that had witnessed so much pain, now stripped bare. At the spaces where family photos once hung, now just faded rectangles on wallpaper. This was never home, I realised. Home is what we're building now. We walked out together, leaving the keys with Andre. As the elevator descended, I thought of Gran's words. Write your own story. So I did. Not a story of revenge or bitterness, but of freedom. Of choosing yourself when no one else would. Of building something new from the ashes of what they tried to destroy. I didn't inherit their legacy. I rewrote it. And this time, I held the pen.